What is this brief mortal life, if not the pursuit of legacy? Zeldrizas Bustari! Headphone warning, headphone warning. The trailer is here. The official trailer for House of the Dragon featuring dragons and monologue is here. I will be getting extremely loud in this video. We've also got some promotional images that I'll talk about towards the end of this video, but please, slap a like on it. Like goal is going to be 420. Also, make sure you're subscribed and have those notifications turned on. And remember, this video was made possible by these special individuals right here. They are all members of my Patreon family over on patreon.com/SirHuntsReviews. Thank you for watching. Let's begin. So in the first 13 seconds of the trailer, we have Rhaenyra looking out at what could potentially be the funeral of Laenor or Laena Velaryon, right? It then quickly switches to Dragonstone, new and improved Dragonstone, with Daemon and Mysaria and his troops of individuals that go with him. Once Mysaria is with child and Daemon gives her a dragon egg and they depart across the narrow sea, or at least attempt to. King Viserys hears about it and tells Daemon she must go by herself, but she's pregnant with this child. This is his paramour. He's the king's brother. He's not the next in line for the Iron Throne. This whole thing is so confusing, but guess what happens? Mysaria loses the baby because the ship is hit with a terrifying storm. So the first 13 seconds of this trailer are letting us know what's going to be happening in the first few episodes. Continuing on here. Now, the next scene is really interesting because it looks like they're adding in something that wasn't necessarily mentioned in the source material. That is, of course, Sir Otto Hightower meeting up with Daemon at Dragonstone, and looks like he's going to prevent him from leaving with the dragon egg, or at least attempt to, right? Sir Otto is the hand of the king at this point, and like I said, Viserys finds out that Mysaria is pregnant with child and forbids Daemon to be with her. He must banish her across the narrow sea, and like I said, the ship's hit by a storm, but it looks like Sir Otto is going to prevent them from, at the very least, taking a dragon's egg. This is going to be a badass showdown, and it doesn't look like Caraxes is nearby, so we may get to see some of that famed prowess of Prince Daemon. And then the next shot we get is of King's Landing, and I believe that's Daemon on the back of Caraxes. Like, the color is way off, but the color on these dragons look very similar to Daenerys. I'm pretty sure the next trailer or the next teaser that we get will probably feature them. But that was Daemon, in my opinion, arriving at King's Landing, where since he has the longer hair in the image, it looks like he does, in the short clip we get, it looks like this is where Daemon actually, pronounces, lays down his crown of the stepstones in front of King Viserys and sort of makes up from when he was banished from the Seven Kingdoms. And then the very next shot we get of Rhaenyra in front of her father Viserys in the new and improved Iron Throne. Like, look at this thing. It's so deadly. When Viserys gets cut by it, it's going to make so much more sense. These blades are unruly, I tell ya. Unruly. All right, so in this scene, Rickard Stark, Boromund Baratheon, all of the High Lords in Westeros, right, are pledging fealty to Rhaenyra because King Viserys is naming Rhaenyra his heir. This is something that's not in tradition in Westeros. Like, you can debate me down below in the comment section all you want to, but literally primogeniture is established tradition, which means it's as good as written law in Westerosi society. But King Viserys is naming his heir his daughter, not his brother Daemon. He doesn't have any sons yet. He's married to Aemma Arryn, and every single son that she gave birth to either died or killed her. So it's going to be interesting. The next shot we get in the trailer is continued on from those High Lords in Westeros pledging fealty to not only King Viserys, but also to his heir Rhaenyra. The main point of showing this in the trailer is to show you that at this time, Prince Daemon is completely stepped over. Like, King Viserys and Prince Daemon quarrel multiple times, but because they're brothers, they always sort of make up, right? But this is showing you that, at least the way the trailer's making it look, the way it's edited, that Prince Daemon does not like the fact that all of these High Lords in Westeros are pledging fealty to Rhaenyra. But from this point forward, since Rhaenyra is officially named King Viserys' heir, every time Daemon comes back to court, he starts treating Rhaenyra super special. He'll bring her gifts from across the narrow sea. He basically manipulates her into trying to, show her how to pleasure a man, right? So from that point forward, Daemon becomes even more motivated to get in close with Rhaenyra because she's next in line for the Iron Throne. And if he can eventually marry her, then so will he. So it's very clear that when you let the trailer play out, that next shot is actually of Daemon forming the Gold Cloaks. Daemon, before he becomes the Lord Commander of the Gold Cloaks, they're a ragtag bunch of individuals in charge of protecting the city. Daemon reforms them. He gives them matching uniforms, he gives them weapons, and most importantly, he gives them all golden cloaks. And from that point forward, they are known as the Gold Cloaks, or the City Watch. Daemon is basically leading them and showing us that eventually they will fall back in his favor, even though we know how this story really kicks off, and that's with Alicent usurping the crown from Rhaenyra and naming her son Aegon to the heir. Spoilers, right? I'm sure everybody watching this video already knows that. But when that happens, the Gold Cloaks are still very much loyal to Daemon. And while all of this is happening, Queen Rhaenys is talking to younger Rhaenyra and telling her, men would rather put the realm to the torch than have a woman ascend the Iron Throne. And to be completely honest, it's true. But the footage they're showing of the Gold Cloaks beating citizens, that's how Daemon gets his name Lord Fleabottom. Daemon is very hands-on with the violence in King's Landing. He removes hands, slits noses of pickpockets. He's killed several men in duels. And the guy getting whooping with the cudgel from a gold cloak is probably under Daemon's orders. So the way the trailer manipulated the footage is to show you that Daemon is leading the men of the City Watch into basically burning the realm. That's not necessarily the case. He's like reforming crime and punishment in King's Landing, but this trailer is manipulating it to show us the actual truth, which is that no one in this world, in Westeros at that time, is really ready for a woman to rule. And from this point forward in history, it's used as an example as to why women shouldn't sit the Iron Throne. Because eventually Rhaenyra does, but this whole thing destroys the realm in the process. Then we get a shot of Rhaenyra looking over the painted table. Now this, in my opinion, is after the Black Council, right? We see a few individuals, Rhaenys included in the background, and there's a very famous image from the Game of Thrones DVD extras, the source material that they have for the TV show anyway, of like an animated Fire and Blood history, right? That features the dance of the dragons, the Targaryen civil war that wiped out the remnants of the dragons and destroyed a lot of Targaryens in the entire realm in the process, right? We get that famous image of the Black Council, of Rhaenyra finding out that her father died and that Alicent has crowned her younger brother Aegon too. This is likely from that scene. We do know that it will be happening in season 1. And right after Rhaenys, the queen who never was, says, then see a woman ascend the Iron Throne, we're given several quick shots of a panned out of what I believe is the King's Landing throne room. This thing looks crazy. It's so massive and huge, and the CGI for this trailer and this TV show is like light years ahead of what we saw in Game of Thrones season 8 and the later seasons, right? So it appears as though there are some individuals carrying a chest that may potentially have gold in it, or it could be a body, or it could be a dragon egg, right? And then we're shown Alicent, the younger version of Alicent, played by Emily Carey, walking up to the Iron Throne. She's in the throne room. She's got a look on her face that says, I'm better than all of you motherfuckers. And then this is where the trailer really starts to heat up. She goes and gives King Viserys a kiss on the cheek, and we all get to see his amazing crown. Look at this thing. He's just screaming Targaryen, right? So she gives him a quick peck on the cheek, and then we're flashed forward to what is a dragon egg sitting over coals. This is how Targaryens hatch their dragon eggs. This is how they did it, right? I've been sent leaks through the DM over on Twitter. Speaking of which, make sure you go follow me at Sir_Hunts. This next part may potentially have just been confirmed from what we see in the trailer, but we're supposed to see a dragon giving birth to a clutch of dragon eggs in the opening scene for this show, and it looks like it will be taking place on Dragonstone. Now, that's not confirmed 100%, but what is confirmed is that they're using this sort of heating device to heat up this dragon egg, right? These dragon eggs are placed in the cradles with Targaryens when they're younger so that they hatch and that the Targaryens bond with their dragons even more, but this looks like a way to sort of maybe expedite that process. And then while we get the scene of Viserys being kissed on the cheek by Alicent, she's getting a voiceover from her father, Sir Otto, like, we play a dirty game. And he ends up telling her, to the older version rather, it's a lot of cuts and edits in this trailer, but basically he says, you have the determination to win the Game of Thrones. And let's be honest, spoiler warning, I've said that enough in this video, but Alicent actually survives the entirety of the dance. She obviously does eventually die, but she's not killed directly from events in the war. Now, they may change that around for this TV show. And now that I'm thinking back, that dragon egg that's over the brazier actually looks very similar to the one that Daemon is holding when he's trying to leave Dragonstone with Mysaria, and is probably stopped by Sir Otto and his men. Then the next scene we get is the same one from the teaser of the Velaryons arriving on deck. At this time, they are the richest house in the Seven Kingdoms, and their embroidery and their clothes show it. But what's really interesting is that we get to see the reaction of a young Prince Daemon. This dude looks like Draco fucking Malfoy. Like, it's awesome. That's clearly his real hair that he's bleached for the show, and I don't even think it's a wig. But next to him is Lionel Strong, played by Gavin Spokes, I think is going to be playing him. But basically, he's the father of Larry Strong, who basically is this show's version of Varys, and also the father of Harwin Strong. Breakbones, later Broken Bones, the actual father, the legitimate father of Rhaenyra's children, most likely. I mean, this show will definitely confirm that one way or another. But his reaction to the Velaryons showing up is quite hilarious. This is probably when Laenor marries Rhaenyra. It would just make sense, because obviously Daemon's reaction would be that. Like, this is who my niece is marrying, this Nancy boy. Yeah, he has a dragon, but he's never had a bastard child or anything. He's definitely gay. And the next scene sort of confirms what I was just suspecting, because obviously we see Laenor, the back of Laenor, and Rhaenyra dancing at their wedding ball. Then it shows the entire court cheering for Laenor and Rhaenyra, because technically they're like, you know, Rhaenyra's next in line for the Iron Throne, so this is the king and the queen, right? Or the king consort, rather. But check this out. After that, they flash forward 10 years, and they move specifically from the cheering and the jeering of the court at King's Landing to Laena's funeral. Now, Laena is the cousin of Rhaenyra, the daughter of Corlys and Rhaenys, the queen who never was, and she marries Daemon. This is at her funeral where she dies, and we just saw her sarcophagus gets pushed out into the ocean. That's kind of a Velaryon burial at sea, sort of traditional thing, right? The reason why I know 100% this is Laena's funeral is because we've received leaked images of Laena's coffin. Now, this happens at or in around 120 AC, and then for the timeline in the books anyway. But for the TV show, this is likely where, if I'm not mistaken, Laenor's already dead. Laenor dies shortly after this, and Rhaenyra and Daemon will elope. Now, the exact time and year that happens in the books won't be the same case for the TV show, because it'll be mixed and matched. And it'll just be easier to show you, hey, this doesn't necessarily happen 10 years down the line. This happens pretty soon afterwards, makes their death even more mysterious, and it kind of opens up the idea to the audience that, hey, they both lost their husband and their wife around the same time, and now they get married. Maybe it was meant to be, or they planned on it. Now, one more thing does need to be noted. This isn't shown in the trailer, but at Laena's funeral, Aemon claims Vhagar. Vhagar is Laena's dragon. Vhagar's the biggest, most badass dragon at this time, right? Because Balerion dies. Vhagar was a part of Aegon's conquering, right? So Vhagar is claimed by Aemon, and then he loses his eye, and then we see later on clips of the trailer of Rhaenyra nearly getting stabbed by Alicent. That is where shit really heats up. And then the way the trailer makes the camera footage look, it appears as though Alicent looks at Rhaenyra and Criston Cole is behind her. So Criston Cole used to be the princess's protector, but he flees sides. Now, the next scene that they show us is really, really fast, but I think it links to it. When we see Daemon a few seconds earlier with the short hair, and then we see this dude thrown on the ground, in my opinion, that's Daemon being discovered at bed with Rhaenyra. Because after this, he's banished from the Seven Kingdoms. Viserys was like, fuck off, dude. I've had enough. You sleeping with my daughter, bro? And this probably happens on their wedding night. It looks like it's very close to around the time when Rhaenyra and Laenor get married. It'll be really interesting to see how this show handles that. And then we see hands gripping each other, which could potentially be the marriage of Daemon and Rhaenyra. Remember, they do have children. Eventually, Aegon III is the one who sits the Iron Throne at the end of all this. So they'll need to get married for sure in this first season, and I think that's what this clip is. clip of Daemon being forced to his knees because he's obviously discovered taking the maidenhead of Rhaenyra. Now, right after that, we see Kristen Cole going buck wild on someone. He literally gives the name of who's supposedly the strongest man in the kingdom, Harwin Breakbones. He gives him his name of Broken Bones because he beats him so savagely he breaks his collarbone. Now, this is after him and Rhaenyra have the fallout, so he's pissed off that she is a new champion and that he's probably the one that discovers Daemon in bed with her. It looks like he could potentially be forcing Daemon to his knees in that scene. And then we are given more shots of Sir Otto preventing Daemon from leaving with Mysaria and that dragon egg on Dragonstone, right, under command of King Viserys. Like, Daemon draws Dark Sister, so that's going to be badass to get to see his prowess without his dragon. And then, one of the last clips of the trailer is Rhaenyra getting a knife forced at her by Alicent, and it appears as though a gold cloak grabs that, so that, you know, the knife doesn't actually connect. But basically what happens is after Aemon steals Vhagar, he gets in a fight with Lucerys, and Lucerys cuts his eye, and Aemon ends up losing that eye, and from that moment forward is known as Aemon One Eye. Now, it's interesting because he does say that I might have lost an eye that night, but I gained the greatest dragon at the time, right? But he's still really pissed off because he eventually does kill Lucerys above Storm's End. And the last little bit we get of the trailer is Daemon at Dragonstone, likely going to steal that egg to go across the narrow sea with Mysaria, right? He puts his torch on the ground, and then a dragon crawls out from the darkness and lets out a roar. That dragon looks exactly like Drogon. Now, I'm going to have to do a video on this because this one's already almost 20 minutes, but why aren't these dragons the right colors? Like, I need this trailer in 4K so I can double check and make sure, but I think the two dragons that we've seen, one of them being Caraxes with Daemon riding on the back of him, is not the right color. Is this dragon that Daemon approaches at the end, is this potentially Vhagar? Is he doing this when Vhagar is, like, it's hard to tell. You all let me know what you think. The dragons do look badass. I just thought they would be more heavily featured in this trailer. Overall, I give this trailer a 10 out of 10. Super special thank you to these individuals right here. They're responsible for these videos. If you all watching this want to join my Patreon over on patreon.com, consider checking out the link down below in the description. Basically, it just helps combat YouTube delisting my videos, where they'll have it in their algorithm for a few hours and then the video disappears. But House of the Dragon season is officially kicked off. This is the first and longest trailer that we have. This is the first official trailer for sure, because we have dialogue, we have scenes of the dragons, we have multiple characters, multiple locations. This is amazing. It does make me think that there's going to be another teaser or another mini trailer that will be coming out, because the show doesn't come out until August, and we barely got any of the dragons in this one. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Mark, and this has been Sir Hunt's Reviews. Long night. Oh yeah, real quick, we had those promo images too, which were just, you know, teaser posters with each of the characters looking badass in the date for the TV show. One image they released early was Rhaenyra at the painted table. Now this is 100% the Black Council, and I cannot fucking wait to see the conversation that happens, because this is clearly after they find out that Viserys, her father, has died, and that Aegon II has been crowned in the Dragon Pit.